Lovelies, this is Ses Fashion. Welcome back to another interesting tutorial. This is a highly requested tutorial after I made this beautiful wrap top with exaggerated bell sleeve. If you would love to learn how to draft and sew this, please keep watching because it is highly detailed and beginner friendly. Please make sure to like and don't forget to subscribe. So right here is the fabric I'll be using to make this top, and in total you will need 2.5 to 3 yards depending on your size. Right here with me is a crepe fabric which I'll use to draft the body of the wrap, and this beautiful Ankara right here I'll use it to draft the bell sleeve. So basically I'm going to be combining both fabrics to make this outfit. So guys, we're going ahead to draft the back piece, and we'll be using this back piece to cut out the front wrap. So to do that, you're going to be folding your fabric into two like you've seen me do here. And to know how wide you'll be folding your fabric, you're going to divide your bust measurement, which is the largest upper body's part. You're going to be dividing that into 4, and you're going to add some allowances. And to begin drafting, you first of all draw a straight line here which will serve as the shoulder line. After doing that, you're going to be inserting your neck width and your neck depth. And to mark the neck width, I'm going ahead to mark 3.5 inches here. You can decide to go smaller or even bigger depending on your preference, but this is okay for me. And the neck depth, I'm making use of 2 inches. And then I'll be connecting these 2 points with a curve. So guys, just to let you know, this point here, this is my fold line. You can see I'm making all of these markings from the fold line. So after marking down my neckline, I am going ahead to divide my shoulder measurements by 2, and then I'll be adding ½ inch for sleeve joining, for joining this to the sleeve. Okay, and after marking that here, I'm going to be dropping it by 1 inch for my shoulder slants, and then I'll be connecting with a straight line from the neckline to meet that 1 inch we've dropped here. And then the next thing, from this point I'll be marking my chest line, and to get that you'll be dividing your bust measurement by 6, and you'll be adding 1.5 inches to whatever you have. And this line right here is my chest line. Going forward, I'll draw a straight line from the shoulder slant all the way to meet the chest point. And then I'll be marking what I have here, and I'm going to be dividing that into 2, and then I'll mark the middle like this. And then I'll be connecting with a curve to create my armhole curve. I'm going to put my ruler like this. From this point of mark, the middle point of mark here, I'm just going to make a curve like so. Usually we go in by ½ inch, but this is a back pattern, so we don't need to do that here. Maybe while drafting the front piece, we'll go in by ½ inch. So for now, we're just going to make a curve like this, creating the armhole. Okay, so after doing that, I am going to be marking my vertical measurements, which is my shoulder to bust point, my shoulder to under bust, and my half length. So my shoulder to bust points, I'm going to be marking that here. And then my shoulder to under bust, and also my half length. After marking all my points, I'm going to be connecting them with a straight line. So I'm just going to be indicating this. I'm going to write C here, which we will know that this is our chest line. And I'm going to write BP here, so you know that this is our bust point line. And then I'm going to write UB here, so you know that this is our under bust line. and then our half length. Okay, so after doing that, you're going to be marking the length of the top. So usually some people prefer the wrap top to be cropped. So if for you that you want yours to be cropped, you can just leave it at the half length, but then you're going to add your sewing allowance down here so that by the time you finish sewing up, it ends up being the half length, which is the crop top. But my client right here, she doesn't want hers to show any flesh on the belly at all. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches to this half length so that by the time she wraps her top, it ends up being okay. It ends up covering the whole belly. And then after adding that 2 inches for tummy coverage, I'm going to be adding another 2 inches for sewing allowance, because I'm going to be folding the down part to give it a nice finishing, and then we're going to be using half inch as well from the allowance to join the shoulder. So altogether I'm going to be adding 4 inches to this half length for my allowance. So from this half length point, I'm going to be marking down 4 inches here. So this is going to be my total wrap top length. But if you want yours to be cropped up, if you want yours, you don't mind showing a little bit of flesh, you can just add 2 inches to this half length, and that's fine. By the time you end up sewing, it ends up being the half length, and it's still going to give it a beautiful look. So I'm just going to rule this point here. Okay. So after doing that, we're going to be marking down our horizontal measurement, which is our round bust measurements divided by 4, and also our round waist measurement divided by 4. On this bust line here, on the chest line here, I'm going to be marking my bust measurement divided by 4. And I'm going to be adding 2 inches for sewing allowance. And I'll mark that here. Going over to this line here, we're going to be marking our waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2-inch allowance as well. I'm not going to be adding any dots to this point because wrap tops, there's actually no need for that. So after marking that here, I'm going to be connecting these two lines with a straight line like this. And that is it for the back piece. We're going ahead to cut this out. So guys, going over to draft the front wrap, we're going to fold our fabric into two just like we did for the back. And then to know how wide we're going to fold this, we're going to fold as double as our waist measurement. That is, you're going to be multiplying your waist measurement by 2, and then you're going to be dividing into 4. So to draft the front piece, what you're going to do is you're going to place your back piece on here like this. Okay, I'll be turning it to this side so that you can differentiate between the front and the back with the lines. So after placing it like this, you're going to ensure that this part right here, which is the one which faces the center back, this is the center back, the part that is not open, the part that is folded, you ensure that this part faces the area where there is enough allowance, because that's what we're going to be drafting the wrap. So this is how you're going to place the back piece on the front piece. So after placing this right here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cross check that I have up to 7 inches, because I'll be adding 7 inches. Okay, and right here I have 8 inches, so that's perfectly okay. So after placing this right here, I'm going to be cutting everything exactly the same except this point. I'm going to be leaving that allowance. So just watch carefully what I'm going to do. When I get to this point, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to cut the neckline. So after cutting that, I'm going to be cutting this out so that you can see clearly what I'm doing. So now that I'm done cutting everything exactly the same, I'm going to begin the drafting of the wrap. And to do that, I'm going to be marking this point here where our neckline stops. Just going to be making a point here. And then on the fold line of the back piece, I'm going to be determining how deep I want my wrap to be in the bust area. And to do that, you're going to place your tape like this. Remember, we took 2 inches here. So I'm just going to place it, remove the 2 inches we've taken in for the neck depth of the back. I'm going to be placing it like so. And I'm going to be marking the how deep I want my wrap to be. For me, I'm making use of 7 inches. And that's because I don't want the cleavage to be exposed. So between 6 to 7 is okay. But anything from 8 to 9 is going to show a little bit of cleavage. So I guess this is not okay for me. 7 inches. I'm going to be marking that here. Okay. So right now I've made a mark on the neck, where the neck stops, where the neck width stops, and I've made a mark to how deep I want my wrap to be. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm coming down here on the hemline and I'm going to be marking about 4 inches upwards. And the reason for marking 4 inches is because we're going to be hemming it down with 1 inch, and we're also going to be hemming the wrap area, that is the up, by about 3/4 to 1 inch, and I'm going to be left with 2 inches for joining of rope, because we're going to be adding rope to this wrap top. So I'm going to be marking 4 inches from the hem upwards like this. So guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up a bit and I'm going to be connecting all my dots. That is, I'm going to be connecting this point to this point all the way to this point. I'll be using the side of my ruler which is not too curved. So I'm just going to make a curve. If you don't have a ruler, you can decide to do freehand, which is still fine as long as your curve comes out beautiful. At this point, I'm going to be using a straight line because I don't want it too curved. Okay, so you can see what I have here, and then I'm going to be cutting this out like this. I'll also be opening this point where we're going to add our rope. And that is it, guys. We're done drafting the front and the back wrap top. You can see it's very easy. There's nothing too serious. So guys, at this point I realized that my fabric is not going to be visible drafting and to show you, so I went ahead to place a pattern paper here which I'll be using to illustrate the sleeve, because that is the main emphasis of our tutorial today. So to begin drafting the sleeve, we'll first of all draw a straight line here which will serve as our baseline. Okay, so after draft and marking out this line, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be marking the sleeve length, and my client wants hers to be 23 inches, and I'm going to be making it a bit longer than her usual wrist length. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch to that, making it 24 inches, because as you can see in this picture, the sleeve is really long and exaggerated. So I'm going to be marking 24 inches as her length, and then I'm going to be adding 2 inches for hemming allowance and also joining the sleeve to the dress, so making it a total of 26 inches, and that is what I'm going to be marking right here. I'm just going ahead to make sure I have 26 inches all around so that I can have a straight line. Okay, so right here is our length. So guys, the next thing I am going to do, remember that this fabric is going to be on fold. While drafting on my fabric, I'll make sure that it's on fold. So this part right here is our fold line. I'm going to be writing that here so that we know that this is the fold line. Okay, after doing that, the next thing, you're going to come over to the hem of the sleeve and you're going to decide how wide you want your sleeve to be. You know, this is an exaggerated bell sleeve, so the wideness is going to be about 25 to 30 inches depending on what you want, but it's going to be between 25 to 30. That's okay. For me, I'm going to be making use of 25 inches, but if you want it bigger than what I have in this picture, you're going to be making it 28 or even 30 inches, and that's fine. So after marking 25 inches here, I'm going ahead to extend my line to meet up with that 25-inch point like this. Okay, and then now I have my hem width, and now we're going to be working on the sleeve cap height. And to do that, we'll first of all bring our fabric that we drafted out, and then we're going to be measuring what we have on our armhole. Here I have 12 inches. I'm going to place that aside, and then I'm going to mark 12 inches here. As you can see, I'm putting it from the fold line that we have. I'm going to be placing my fabric inwards like this. I'm marking 12 inches. Now that we've determined the length of our sleeve, we're going to be marking the sleeve cap height. And in my previous tutorial, I taught how to find the sleeve cap height, and basically is the bust measurement divided by 12. So whatever your bust measurement is, you're going to divide it by 12 to know your sleeve cap height. And here I'm making use of 3.5. Okay, so I'm just going ahead to square up my 12-inch point so that I have a straight line, and I'm going to be ruling that. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to draw a slant line from here to meet up with this point, and then we're going to be finding the middle point of our slant line. And I'm going to place my rule like this, find out what I have. I have 12.5 divided by 2, making 6.7. So I'm going to 6.25, sorry. I'm going to be marking that here. And then I'm going to place my curve like this, from this point to this curve line like this. And I'm also going to be doing this. Okay. So now we have our curve created beautifully, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a straight line from this point to meet up with our hem width with a straight line. So my rule is not long enough, so I'm just going to place my tape like this. If you have a long ruler, you can just place it and draw a straight line. So I'm just going to pull my ruler like this, just so that I can make marking dots that will be connecting together, so I can have a perfect line. Okay, so this is what our exaggerated bell sleeve looks like. We're going to be cutting this out, and then we're going to transfer what we have to our fabric. So guys, to cut on my fabric, I went ahead and folded my fabric into 4, as you can see, and you're going to fold as wide as possible to accommodate what we have drafted. And you know, the width of drafting was 25 inches, so we're going to be multiplying 25 by 4, making it 100. So you're going to be folding length of 100 inches folded into 4, but make sure you add allowances. So let's say you have about 110, because you know we're going to be cutting from it. So let's say you have about 110 and we're going to be folding into 4 to draft this pattern. So after folding what we have here, I'm going to be placing our pattern here. Remember, this is the fold line, so you're going to align it at the point where it is folded and there's no opening. So you're going to place it like this. Just going to make sure everything lies down properly. You're going to place it straight like that. I'm just going to put this here so that my pattern lies straight on my fabric. So after placing this down, you're going to be cutting out exactly the same. Okay, and this is what we have. This is exaggerated bell sleeve drafted out. You can see this is it. We have 2 sleeves cut out together. I'm just going to notch the middle part so I know which is which when I'm sewing. So guys, right now we're going to be sewing up our pieces, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be opening up this, and I'm going to be placing the right side up, because I'll be placing the right size of the front pieces to the right side of the back pieces. So what I'm going ahead to do, I'll be aligning it on this shoulder parts like this, right sides facing each other. I also do the same thing for the other side, aligning it on the shoulder. Okay, so after doing that, I'll just take this over to my machine, and I'm going to be sewing it down with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay guys, so after I'm done stitching, this is what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do, we're going to be working on the neckline, and to finish up this neckline, there are different methods. You can decide to use whichever one. You can decide to cut a facing and finish it up neatly with a facing, or you can decide to use a bias tape. But for me, I'm going to be folding this into 2. If you don't want to fold into 2, you can just weave it round with your interlocker, and then you can just fold once. But I'm not going to do that. You can decide to do just like me. You can fold it into 2 just like this. Fold first one, and then you're going to fold again. After sewing it up, this is what my neckline looks like. Make sure to use a matching thread so that it doesn't look funny on the outside after sewing. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be working on the sides, and this part you need to have in mind that you're going to be passing your rope through it. I'm going to be sewing with 1 inch. Remember, we left 2 inches sewing allowance. We're going to use 1 inch to sew. The remaining 1 inch is going to be like for ease. So guys, I'm going to be pinning this down so it stays in place. So I'm going to pin all the way, but I'm going to leave about 1 inch just around the waist area. I'm going to leave a 1 inch opening, and then after joining that, I'm also going to be folding it down with just the same way we did for the neckline. I'll be folding it down neatly to give it a nice finishing. I've gone ahead and I've joined the sides. As you can see, I also left it's 1 inch opening that passing through my elastic. You have to make sure that this opening is not too wide, else your skin will be exposed. So just try to make it as little as possible. So 1 inch is perfect. You can be able to pass your rope through this point, and it's not going to expose any part of your skin. I've also gone ahead to hem the down, as you can see, and here I have my allowance that I'll be attaching the rope. So going over to fixing our ropes, I went to cut out 2 long ropes. This is about 50 inches in length, and I'll be joining them on this side that is left after folding your neckline and folding it down. I'll be attaching the rope to this point. So guys, I'm going ahead to fix the sleeve and then attach my rope, and I'll show you the final look. Going over to my sleeves, I'm going to be folding the hem neatly. I'm going to be hemming it like this, Just like we did for the neckline, we're going to be folding into two, just like this, just to give it a nice finishing. And then after doing that, I'm going to be sewing the side which is open. I'm going to be stitching it down with 1/2 inch. So guys, this is the final look of our exaggerated sleeve wrap top. You can see how beautiful this is. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next tutorial.